Hi everyone, this video is about reducing my subvocalization. I want to be able to read faster. I often find myself reading too slow and it feels like I'm watching a movie at half-time speed, which is just not very enjoyable at all. One of the ways for me to reach faster is to do something which is called reducing subvocalization. So subvocalization is the process in which the reader or yourself reads and undergoes something called internal speech. Basically, it involves saying the words out loud inside of your head, and this process is natural to almost all readers unless you deliberately try to get rid of it. And the reason why this process is instinctively present inside of our heads is because having the sound of the word being prompted to our minds is supposed to help our brains be able to comprehend and recognize the word more thoroughly. So my goals were with this exercise was to first know how to get rid of that subvocalization. Secondly, find out if getting rid of the subvocalization will actually improve my reading speeds. One YouTube video I watched recommended an app called Speechify. Speechify is an iPhone app which was originally designed for people who struggle with dyslexia. You first import a book or piece of text into the app. The app will then convert it into an audiobook where it will then play back the audiobook at a speed at which you select. Not only does the app play the book out loud in an audio form, it also has this tracer inside of the app that also traces through the words of the bit of the book that it's reading through. And when you're using this app to try to be able to read faster, you're supposed to set the app to read at words per minute, which is faster than what you normally read at. And by doing so, you are forced to try to read as fast as the app does. Because if you end up reading too slow compared to the app, it will feel as if you're reading a book yourself and suddenly having someone sit right next to you read the exact same book out loud and reading at the lines ahead of what you're reading, which can be very confusing. And what your brain is supposed to instinctively do is to stop this subvocalization going on in your head in order for you to catch up with the speed of the app. Unfortunately, I don't have an Android phone because Speechify has stopped developing the app for this platform, and I ended up just going onto the Mac App Store and downloading the first free app that I found after looking at speed reading, which was an app called Speed Reader. Now, Speed Reader works slightly differently to Speechify. It does not turn the book into an audiobook, so there's no sound being played back to you, and it doesn't have a highlighter that traces through the words. Instead, what this app does is that it prompts a small window inside of your screen where it will then just show you singular words that it is going through as it runs through the book. And it forces you to focus on the word that is being presented to you and forces you to read at the speed at which you set it to read at. And secondly, by showing you only singular words, you are forced to not be able to read back on previous lines, which is a problem I struggle with, and you are forced to just keep on going and reading through the text that is coming up next. So the book I chose was a book called Atomic Habits. It is quite a well-known book in the self-help world. Its key ideas is teaching you how to build good habits as well as getting rid of bad habits in order for you to reach your greater goals and to achieve the sort of success that you want. Before I started on this challenge, I needed to know what my baseline speeding read was. So I took the first two chapters of this book, read them at my own time and timed myself, and then copied the text onto the Microsoft Word to get the word count, and divided the word count by the time it took me to read those two chapters to get my words per minute. And for both tries, I got very close results, which were 270 and 271 words per minute. So I have finished this book already and would like to share some reflections that I thought would be quite interesting. Using this app was actually more enjoyable than I thought it would be. It could be because I am not reading it at a fast enough speed to make myself feel uncomfortable, but having these words being prompted to me reminded me a lot of me watching YouTube. Because for a few years now, I've been watching YouTube at 2x speed because for a few years now, I've been watching YouTube at 2x speed in order for me to skip past the bits that I didn't find quite as interesting and actually get to the bits that I did want to watch in the video. And because this app reminded me a lot of YouTube, it made the whole experience actually much more relaxing and passive. So overall, it didn't feel like reading this book was as much of a chore as it might normally would have been. More importantly, though, I think what this exercise has really helped me realize is that reading back on previous lines that I missed was a very bad habit that was never helpful with my reading in my first place. Because this app only presented words one by one and would not allow me to go back to ones I previously missed, I was able to actually go through the book a lot faster than just by bumping up the speed at which the book was being played to me at. Because if we think about it, this sort of scenarios does not really come up when you are watching a movie. When you're watching a movie, you don't always rewind whenever you missed a small little scene or a short phrase that the actor might have spoken, and it doesn't make sense for you to do the same for reading. And I actually feel like by not reading back on previous lines, this actually contributed to my reading speed more than the speed at which the book is reading itself. In summary, I don't really feel like I got less out of this book just because I read it with this app and read it at a faster pace. I just might not have remembered some of the finer details more so than I otherwise would have. But otherwise, I really enjoyed reading with this app, and I do think it has contributed to increasing my reading speed because throughout the second half of the book, I found myself already bumping up the speed of the app after each chapter, and I ended up reading at a speed which was significantly higher than what I started the book with. This, however, is not a big enough sample for me to determine whether or not this app is useful for speed reading. And I will be reading a few more books in the future with this app before I go back and try and retime myself and see what my new words per minute is. So that's about it for this video. I'll be continuing to try read books with this app, and if you're interested as well, I think you guys should try the Speechify app. That might be more convenient if you want to try to read this while you're out on the go. But otherwise, that's about it. So thank you for watching this video, and hope to see you next time.